That was horrible.
Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down. You're just going to let me keep going with this, huh?
Keep going.
It's just all of
Just keep going.
must stand and face the hounds of hell and rot inside a corpse's shell. It's yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this might be a little confusing. We did not watch Thriller, even though that's fantastic. But I mean, I do every morning when I wake up. That's typically
It's your alarm.
That's my morning routine. Yeah, it's like I'll do like yoga to the Thriller.
Yoga to the Thriller.
Yoga to Thriller. It's pretty good for you.
So, describe it to me. Describe yoga to Thriller.
So it's really just like I get my little
hold on. I'll go.
and then I do, like a good zombie T-pose, like my zombie model just popped into the map. And then I will do some smashing from the graves. That's another good one for yoga. That's all I got. I don't have any more of these bits.
That was pretty good.
I just thought this would be a good way to get people ready for the vibe of the movie that we watched today.
Because it was basically Michael Jackson's Thriller, the movie.
If it was turned into like a full-length movie, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get copyright striked for that?
I mean, maybe.
Because our rendition of Thriller was spot on.
It was dead on, right?
How long
it
is
was
that poem?
Dead on. Sorry, I'm sorry. Dead on? Did you get that?
Oh, you're doing a joke. See, over here, that was Horrorble, where I co-host with my friend Isaac.
And I co-host with my friend Derek.
We just sing Thriller and read, those things.
The monologue at the very end of it by Vincent Price.
Is that Vincent Price?
That's Vincent Price.
I am so embarrassed.
Oh, yeah.
This is the most embarrassing thing
That's good
ever
stuff.
happened in
It's
my
very
life.
good stuff.
I've listened to it 100 times. I don't know how I never made that connection.
Yeah, I didn't
Price
know it
is my
for a
boyfriend.
while. It doesn't surprise me at all that it happened, but
Do you think, just random question, do you think if me and Vincent Price met today and he was still alive and he was still handsome and
would
beautiful,
you be boyfriends?
do you
Is that
think
what
he
you're
would
asking?
date me?
What do you have to offer Vincent Price? How spooky can you be?
I think he's got a steep price,
I think so too.
but I think it's a Vincent.
You think it's a Vincent Price?
Spooky.
Oh, is that how you would approach him?
I said, "Hello, Vincent."
Yeah, okay, so it's like, hello, it is me, Vincent Price. And this
that's
is what he
pretty
sounds
close.
like.
That's
I feel like his whole career
it's
based on horror
me.
stuff was just because he sounded like a spooky guy.
Yeah.
But so it's me, Vincent Price. How would you approach me?
You haven't seen the Thief and the Cobbler, have you?
Never.
That movie?
No.
Because Vincent Price plays the villain in that movie, and he literally, the whole movie is just talking like this.
That's just how
and
he sounds. I don't think he
is
can turn it off.
beautiful.
I don't think it's one of those horror characters where it's he's on for the cameras and stuff. I think it is just him, and he was able to capitalize on that in a major way.
Incredible.
Oh, great King Nod, have no fear. Zigzag your Grand Vizier is here.
And I love that so much. Vincent
Yeah.
Price, icon. He
Icon.
is dead, right?
Yeah, he's dead for sure. Rest
When did
in
he
peace. Not too long ago, I
What
want
did
to
he
say.
die of?
Just being cool and old, I think. He just finally turned and decomposed into a cool corpse, is what I want to say. The way he should have gone.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I remember, I think the last thing he did was Edward Scissorhands. That's the last thing I can remember him in, and he was pretty old in that one. Gotta say,
Was he?
he was. Yeah,
Was he?
I think so.
1990. He was in that movie.
Yeah.
Dude, okay.
You thought I was messing with you?
I'm such a fake fan. It's insane how much of a fake fan I am.
That's okay.
All right.
get
Well, what
there.
did we do this week, Isaac?
This week we watched Spookies from 1986, a wild-looking movie. And I mean, what were you going into expecting from this? Not necessarily expectations, but when I brought this to your attention, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I definitely expected some House on the Hill style creepiness, right?
Mhm.
And that was it.
Yeah.
I expected way too much monsters. But that's a spoiler for later in the episode, very soon.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, very much
What about
just
you?
chaos ensues in a haunted house. All I had seen from it was there were a couple notable practical effects, monsters, puppets, animatronics things that I'd seen from it. So I'm like, this is instantly a movie for me.
This is one of those movies that Isaac like ran home like golden ticket from,
exactly.
from Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Derek, it's me.
I found it.
I found the golden.
What is it you've come to me today with, boy?
It's Spookies 1986.
Well, show me a trailer.
There you are. Here's a trailer.
Oh, I'm a changed boy. I'm ready.
We were changed boys after watching the trailer, but we did not get a lot of the plot. We had read a synopsis of it beforehand, but like other than that, it's like the trailer did not give us any plot. It really just showcased all of the crazy monsters that were in it.
Yeah, it was bonkers.
Which is pretty fun though, yeah. Do you want to tell me what you found out about this movie?
Yeah, absolutely. So this movie, Spookies, came out in 1986. It was actually originally called Twisted Souls. But there was like a legal battle, a bunch of other stuff happened, so they ended up changing the name. So Spookies 1986 was directed by Jeannie Joseph, Thomas Doran, and Brendan Faulkner.
Yep, three different dudes.
Then written by Anne Bergend, Thomas Doran, and Frank M. Farrell.
Okay, so one of the directors was also a writer then. Is that right?
Yeah, so
technically falls under the written and directed by.
Okay, I'm looking at IMDb right now as well as my notes, and the video is auto-playing the monster I hated the most from the movie, and I just can't stop looking at it. So Thomas Doran, we'll talk about him first because he wrote and directed it. Hasn't really done a lot.
Damn.
As something we'll find with all five of these people, that they really just didn't do much. I
would really love to see the kind of movies like this where like they started out with a movie that ends up on our podcast, right? But then like later on in their career, it's like, oh wow, they actually went on to make Terminator 2, like something crazy like that.
Oh my gosh.
Like have this great success story, but so far not a lot of luck there.
No, and I feel like that's happened a couple times, but nothing like extreme, right?
Yeah.
Most writers are just still either doing something or just done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Nothing in the middle, right?
Usually it's just like this killed their career and they're done after this, right?
Absolutely.
Which is understandable. Again, we are here to review the bad horror movies in the world, right?
But as we learned, that we watched a little like docu-film about the movie afterwards, and one of the writers was the zombie who gets a pie in the face during Dawn of the Dead, and he is credited that way.
There was also another one who was involved in that as well, who was the zombie that gets a bunch of seltzer sprayed on them as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, honestly, not a lot to talk about here as far as the writing and directorial staff. They just haven't done a lot. It's kind of unfortunate.
Because there were so many, do a lot. We need content, damn you.
There were so many good ideas in this movie, as we'll come to find out. Tyrannosaurus azteca is something that one of these writers did.
That's pretty incredible, I think.
It's a giant... It's Aztec Rex. It's a big old, what is this called?
A T-Rex?
No, the other one.
The pyramid?
Yeah.
The Mayan temples?
There's a Mayan temple and a big T-Rex.
I guess Aztec temple.
Sitting on top of it.
Wow.
So the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie is 29 for the critics and 19 for the audience.
Oh, yikes.
Letterboxd was sitting at 2.6. Metacritic didn't have a score.
Oh,
IMDb
cowards.
was sitting at 4.9.
Okay.
I could not find a budget.
Again.
Not only could I not find a budget, everywhere I looked, looks like this movie made $18,000.
Whoa.
Not a lot.
That's pitiful.
That is sad.
Even for 86, that is pitiful.
Yeah. Today, take a guess. Without looking, you probably already saw it. What do you think the amount of money that's worth today?
It was 18,000, was that it?
Yeah, so it was 18K in 1986.
In 1986, that's probably only like 30K.
50K.
50K? Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at this exchange rate, by the way. I don't know how money works.
It's bonkers to me. Though, like, that is so little.
Yeah.
And you have to assume that this movie cost a lot of money. Because
absolutely.
There is so much going on in this
movie. The insane effects that were a part of this movie, just from what I saw in the trailer, I'm like, this movie has to be costly to make, right? So now I'm sad because I want to know how much this movie cost them to make because god damn, there were some expensive looking things in this movie.
Someone had to have lost a lot of money through this process, which I'm so sorry. I hope it was not Brendan Faulkner or Anne Bergend or Thomas Doran or Frankum Furl.
But so many cooks in the kitchen for this movie.
Which is probably why some of these things happened.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? I think that's like a recipe for disaster when you have so many people putting their opinions into something. Like sometimes, two people can direct the same deal or write the same thing, but as long as they're on the same page, it can become cohesive and make a lot of sense.
Right.
But I feel like when you have this many cooks in the kitchen, it's like they all have their own idea of what would make a good movie, and it kind of just all goes sideways, which I think really reigns true in this movie, as you'll find out.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. There were 4 producers, so maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe they all just threw money into it. I know that
that's how they were able to afford all these effects. There were 4 different people producing it.
I don't know anything about it. Maybe Count Trivia knows something about it. There was another movie that was getting filmed kind of at the same time or before, and they kind of mashed them together.
I mean, that makes sense.
So Twisted Souls, they had a footage from it, and they used some of that in this movie, apparently.
There was something about the trivia that said there was a myth that there were 2 movies that were put together, but that it was false. I didn't include it in the end, but there is...
You didn't include it?
Well, Count Trivia told me through telepathic powers.
His claw is seeping through the door right
and
now.
That's fine. I'm not going to look at him. He can't... He doesn't even know.
Imagine a claw seeping through a door.
That'd be a pretty cool effect.
That'd be a pretty cool effect. Maybe we should make a horror movie.
Okay.
I think that's how bad movies get made.
Probably.
2 friends are sitting there. Let's make a horror movie. What if a claw seeps through a door?
Unfortunately, if we were to try to make a horror movie, we would do poorly just because all our, the past every movie we've watched have just been for this podcast. So now, our knowledge of horror movies just comes from the bad ones.
It has to be.
We need to start a separate podcast where we talk about good ones.
All right. I got a game for you.
A game?
It's my new favorite thing to do.
You specifically told me you did not have a game.
I lied. Well, I didn't lie, but I have one.
You came up with a game. Is that right?
Okay. You have to tell me if this movie title either A, exists, or was B, a movie that Vincent Price was in.
Oh, man, I wish I knew more about Vincent Price movies.
Yeah, but I don't...
Because I know there's a lot of them. There is, more popular ones.
211.
Holy shit.
He was in 211 movies.
All right, give it to me. Let's go.
All right. Mercenaries of Time.
That's real. That's Vincent Price.
That's a fake title.
Damn it.
That is a fake title.
I'm so bad at these games. I don't think I've won any of them yet.
You won all of them. The Hilarious House of Frightenstein.
That's real.
That's real.
That's
it's a
real.
TV show he was a narrator of from 1971.
That's incredible. I love that.
Life After Droids.
That's a fake?
That's a fake. That's a fake.
It also just didn't sound like one Vincent Price would be a part of. I don't know how much he got into the robot stuff.
That's true. That's a good point. Invader of Horror.
Real one?
That's fake.
That's damn.
Fake.
You got me with the horror.
City in the Sea.
City in the Sea. That's fake.
That's real.
Damn,
that one's real.
Damn.
The Christmas Carol.
The Christmas Carol. I would assume that's a real one.
I don't know why that was funny to me. All right. And your last one. For the win. For the win. The Private Lives of Elizabeth and Essex.
That's real.
That's real.
Gotta be real.
That's real. That's real.
That name was too specific to be fake.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, that is pretty fun.
Also, Vincent Price doesn't have anything to do with this movie.
No, we keep talking about him. It just there was a character in it who seemed like he really wanted to be Vincent Price.
100%.
Or at least the writers wanted him to be a Vincent Price-esque character, so that's why we bring him up. But yeah, so he unfortunately had nothing to do with this movie. So if you're listening to this podcast for Vincent Price, I'm sorry.
I think Vincent Price was done making movies. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, no, he didn't die till 93.
Wait. That means Thief and the Cobbler was his last movie.
Weird.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I know what we're doing after this. We're watching Thief and the Cobbler. All right.
Are we ready for our expectations? Yeah, I beat you to it.
Yeah. Okay, hey, Derek, in editing, go back and do nothing. Are you ready for our expectations?
Oh my god. Okay, so for me, before we had even watched the trailer, I was just looking into the movie and the cast for it, and there was a character called the Spider Woman. So I was already on board, and I knew Derek was already off board.
Nope.
He is not a fan of spiders.
Yeah, so I don't know if you knew this. Isaac, spiders are my worst fear.
Really?
Yeah, there's like two things that I hate more than anything. Let's talk about our worst fears real quick.
Yeah,
This
okay,
movie
go.
was about fears. We watched a movie called Fear and talked about our worst fears in that. Remember that? That was years ago.
Did we ever give a real answer for that?
I don't know.
I don't remember either. So tell me about
Go back and
spiders.
listen. Spiders.
Yeah.
Terrifying. They're gross.
Yeah, nasty.
They got way
8
too many
legs.
legs.
Ugh.
They could bite you.
Yeah.
They could stare at you.
Small, too big.
Even worse than that, they could climb in your mouth while you're asleep.
I hate
and that's
that.
terrible. That's
Do
terrifying.
you think it's really true that statistically you eat like spiders in your sleep like throughout the year?
I mean, I don't know.
There's always a spider.
There's
They're
always
always
a
around.
spider. What's your
Derek,
worst
the
fear?
spider queen is always watching you.
I need you to stop.
What's my worst fear?
Yeah.
Becoming my father.
Really?
No, I'm
Really?
just kidding.
Doesn't your dad listen to this sometimes?
I don't know, maybe. No, I love you, Dad. No, a fun segue, though. My dad is also terrified of spiders because when he was a kid, his older brothers like locked him in like this cellar basement in the dark with nothing but a bunch of spiders down there. So that's why he hates spiders. Do you have any reasoning? You just think they're gross?
No, I think part of it. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I keep seeing
keep
pictures
looking
of
at
spiders.
spiders.
I think when I was a kid, I was running my hand along a wall and I brushed something and then kept walking and I turned around and looked and there was a big black widow just sitting there staring at me.
Just giving you the eye.
Just like he knew.
Yeah.
And I wasn't scared
There's
of
something
spiders
about black
until
widows
that.
that's like, I know I could kill you. I'm not gonna, but like know that I have that power.
Yeah, but like, oh my god, I'm genuinely getting like grossed out right now. Like the thought of the Black Widow, how like slick it is.
Yeah.
right. And like how it's got those like the
So
hourglass,
slick and
it's,
sexy,
like,
yeah,
that
got the
red
hourglass figure.
It's like ticking away.
Yeah.
it knows you're gonna die
Yeah.
soon. Because my fear isn't of dying, right? I could die any second. I could die right now. This computer could explode. I watched Maximum Overdrive. I know this shit could kill me. But the spider knows that you know that. You know? And it's like, I'm going to tease you. Hello, it's me.
It's like, I know you don't like me in your house, but I'm going to be here anyway. I can live here. What are you going to do?
I'm going to come give you a little bite.
Is this Science Jim?
Yeah, I'm actually Science Jim's older brother, Smart Jim. I'm
Smart.
smarter than him.
Oh, okay. Being science is not enough. You have to be smart.
Yeah, so I spend all my life on Snopes.com, so I know when things are right or not.
Okay.
I actually did some research, and I found that it is actually a myth that spiders climb into your mouth.
Okay.
See the way I'm petting Derek's passed out head right now?
Can I ask why
Comforting?
you were here and not Science Jim? Where's he at? Is he on vacation?
What about spiders climbing in your mouth is science?
I mean, I
Think
guess
about it.
He's told me a lot of stuff that has not a damn thing to do with science.
Well, he's an idiot. That's what I say. He's not the smart one of us.
That's fair, right? Because it's in your name. Yeah,
I'm
of course.
Smart Snopes Jim. Anyway, this is from the Scientifica Britannica.
Okay.
Experts acknowledge that it is possible for a spider to climb into your mouth while you're
I
sleeping.
mean, it's possible for lots of things to crawl into your mouth while you sleep.
Don't say that. But the chances are so slim that it's negligible. If a spider were to climb into your face while you slept, the sensation of 8 little tiny legs on your skin would wake you up very quickly.
No, that makes sense.
That's how I felt for a while. Get out of here. I don't know. Who was this guy? That was so weird.
Should we continue with our expectations?
Yeah, I needed to know that for no reason. Like, not for me.
Yeah. So there was a fun character called the Spider Woman, so I was excited about that.
Wow, that's where we left off.
That's where we left off. That was my first expectation.
5-minute spider tangent for the win.
So I also expected incredible practical effects of some crazy designs, and if that's all this movie has to offer me, I will be happy. And that's kind of what I was expecting from this movie, just the practical effects, right? Mm-hmm. This movie is going to be 100% my tempo, just great, gross monsters, fun 80s synth soundtrack, like where can you go wrong? I was very thrilled for this. Probably really will rely on the wow/shock factor with these creatures rather than bothering to have a good plot or acting or writing at all, right? So I was I was pumped for this movie, not gonna lie. I was going in this very enthusiastic. What were you sitting on the expectations?
I haven't seen you this excited for a movie in a while.
Yeah, I was pumped.
I think the last movie you were this excited for was An American Werewolf in Paris.
No, God, I hate you.
I love that movie.
They're
so
like,
much.
it's sincerely like, it's kind of nice to be like, okay, we're doing this podcast to watch bad movies, right? So it's kind of nice to be like, oh, I'm excited for this one. Yes, good. We're going in for bad movies, but I can have a good time with it, right? So,
Isaac, will you help me?
Will I help you?
I decided to make this a bit. My microphone came unscrewed. Will you help me?
Oh, gosh.
I'm not going to cut this out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I should.
Keep it in.
I should cut that out for content. Did you screw it good enough?
I screwed it as tight as it'll go.
We got these cool new microphones, and I'm just still getting used to the way they work.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like the episode where we got the new mics, we didn't necessarily specifically say, "Hey, we got new microphones."
Yeah, but
we just said,
like,
"Can you hear? We hear our crisp new sounds.
crisp
Wow,
new
listen
voice.
to us."
But they're nice.
So yeah, like 4 episodes ago, we got nice new microphones. So
Yeah,
hopefully you noticed if you continue to listen to our episodes,
And
we
if you
got
didn't,
nice and clear.
Go back and listen to an old episode and be like, wow, they sound so crisp and
I
clear.
think-
and then jump forward and be like, whoa, they sound so crisp and clear.
I think the jump was episode 19 to 20. So like, yeah, go listen to episode 19, the sound quality there, and then episode 20, completely different world.
And you'll be like, whoa, these are 2 new podcasts.
We used to think that sounded good.
I mean,
felt
it does.
good about that.
And I felt great about it. I still feel
Yeah.
great about it. But now I can't ever go back because now I can
And
do
hopefully-
this voice and you can hear me.
Hopefully we don't go back, right? Like hopefully we just get better as time progresses.
We're going to get repoed.
yeah. Repo our mics.
All right, my
What were
expectations.
your expectations?
I'm here. I'm doing it. All the monsters are going to be super cool.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Like, I mean, we saw most of them in the trailers. So I was like, all of these are going to be super cool.
But for once through that, it got me more excited. And
Yeah,
I think it's
I
just
was with
because
you.
I was expecting it to not be very good, but be very fun. So in this sense, I wasn't like, oh, great, they showed off all the great stuff. I was like, oh boy, this is stuff for me to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. My second expectation, the deaths will be some sort of like progression like this. Girl scream, girl fall down, monster fall on top.
Yep.
Right? That very 80s style. Like, we have this big creature, don't really know how to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Super corny dialogue.
Sometimes,
a la the 80s.
You bring a good point. Like, it's like they create a cool, awesome, practical creature suit, but then it's not incredibly, like, you can't do a lot
Can't
with
use
it.
it.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
like
use
Raw
that
Head
to
Rex,
kill
right?
people. And cool.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. He was like, it's just a cool, like, and you can tell he could not move very well in that suit,
No, it was
right?
so uncomfortable.
So, like,
It's
not
like-
very practical suit.
It's like that I Think You Should Leave sketch where
There's
he's
too
wearing
much shit on me.
he's wearing that huge suit and he's walking through the mall.
I don't wanna be
I don't
alive
wanna
anymore.
Be alive anymore. It's so cool. But it's that exact vibe, right?
Yes.
Like, I can't imagine that any of these suits were super comfortable.
No,
Like,
right?
what about the creature from the Black Lagoon?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's that same style.
Like,
right?
go
He
watch
didn't
any
really
like
do anything.
kills or anything he does. There's like compilations of him just like hitting things, and that's really all he can do is just
Yeah.
like swat at stuff, you know?
So anyway, I expected a lot of that.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of want to keep riffing on this because I like that idea. I'm curious to any of those actors if they talked about that or how they felt, right? Because I feel like it would be incredibly limiting.
You don't get a lot of like interviews because you get a lot of interviews with like the principal cast of things. You don't get a lot of interviews that have the creature actors that are in those big thick
unfortunate.
suits. Really, the closest you get is like with like Doug Jones, right? But like I feel like all the practical suits he's done have been very mobile. You could do a lot with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not incredibly heavy, dense stuff that has lack of mobility.
But I feel like that's one way that technology's come a long way for better or for worse, right?
Yeah.
Because like you look at all the big creatures from nowadays and like they're wearing these suits. Well, not always, but sometimes they're wearing these suits, but a lot of times they'll CGI or VFX add in parts of the suit so they have more mobility.
Which is cool, and I'm down
It's
with
fine.
that.
Yeah, it looks great.
I mean, like going back to the creature from the Black Lagoon, right? It's like, yeah, I can't really do much in that. You could move around in the water with it, which was super cool. Thank you, Millicent Patrick.
Yeah.
But they in the Shape of Water, right? Like very similar creature, right? Like it's just like whole fish man. But again, like he was like, completely practical suit, and they added some like VFX stuff afterwards to like make it look a bit better, right? Which I love.
He
but
looks
like,
great.
I mean, things have come a long way, right? Like he could do a lot in that kind of suit,
absolutely.
right? It's really cool.
It's very cool. And I feel like if that movie was made 30 years ago, I think they could have still done it.
Yeah.
But it would have been a lot more limiting.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the creature would have been less believable. So
We're moving forward. It's great, going into the future of cool creatures. Just keep away from completely CGIing a creature.
yes, please.
It just never looks as good.
No, it doesn't. I mean, that's one thing we talked about way back in Slender Man, right? Was the creature was only like 50% CGI or something?
Yeah, but like they had a whole suit that looks really
that's
good,
what
but
I'm
they
saying.
covered it with way too much CGI stuff, right?
It's unfortunate because like they should have relied on that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a double-edged sword a little bit. We've yet
Exactly.
to find something other than like something like The Shape of Water that does it really well.
So what other expectations did you have?
Super corny dialogue, a la the 80s.
I mean, like, it's just like, you just have to expect it, right? I can't even really be upset about it. It's
No,
like,
yeah.
it's the 80s, and like the general vibe of this movie was like, yeah, the writing's not going to be great.
Yeah. Spider Person makes me mad. That was my next expectation.
I mean, that's understandable. You don't really like the little
No, I hate them. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Eight-legged men?
But like,
eight-legged everything.
now think about an eight-legged man that had a bunch of tap shoes. A bunch of little tippity tap shoes on all of his little legs. And he's thinking he can make it into the big city. He's going to make his break.
It's me, little spider.
And his tarantula dad is like, you'll never make it in the city.
Daddy.
You're a fool. You need to work here on the farm and make webs for that pig.
But Daddy, look, I'm 4 people at once.
They'll never accept you, son, just like I'll never accept you. I disown you.
No, I have a gun. Oh,
What? Why does the tap dancing spider have a gun? Wait, okay.
Papa.
Does he have one gun or like 8 guns?
he's got 3 guns.
So hold on. So he's a tap dancing spider, but his taps are also guns.
Yeah.
He has combination tap shoes, guns.
Oh,
shoes.
Daddy, I killed you.
Oh, son, I always loved you deep
Daddy,
down.
I need to go to New York and make it big, but you're dead now. Who's going to watch the farm?
You have my blessing. This pig will take you there. And then he gets eaten by the pig, and it's the end of the story.
Oh, that was, whoa.
That was
deep.
That was wow. That just came out.
That was dark.
I don't know what just happened there.
I mean, first he shoots his dad, and then he gets eaten by a pig. He was the best tap dancer this side of the Mississippi.
The messed up version of Charlotte's Web I've ever heard of.
It's kind of beautiful, though.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean,
tragic beauty.
If anything, it's a metaphor and an allegory to our life.
We're never going to get to this movie. Did you have any more
I'm
expectations?
having a great time. And if they're not having a great time, they can skip ahead.
Did you have any more expectations?
I did, actually.
Okay. What else you got?
Do you want to know my last expectation?
Final. We're so close.
Plot? Question mark? What's that even?
Who is a plot? I hardly know her.
I hardly know her. Hey, look, we're at the movie now.
We're at the movie now.
Do we have anything else we could riff on?
No, I think that's
What
it.
was that spider's name? Frankie.
Frankie?
Yeah, he was Frankie Valli in the 4 Spiders.
But it's just one person. One spider.
They're all tap dancers for some reason.
That's fair.
Did Frankie Valli tap dance? I don't think he did.
He probably could have. He
probably
tried.
could have.
I believe in his
Instead, he was
capabilities.
just a short man who sang very high.
So, this movie, let's get into it. I mean, right from the beginning, I was in. The music has got me. It's got this eerie 80s
soundtrack
synth.
is amazing.
It was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. I like it. It left me having fun like the entire time. So we open up on like this slab of concrete over this grave, right? And it's like, it should be concrete, but it was moving like it was like...
It was definitely like a tarp. Like
yeah,
they
exactly.
stretched a tarp over a hole.
But clearly, like, there was a big lock and chain over it. Clearly, there was something in there trying to get out. And then we never really see it again until, like, much later in the movie. I actually forgot about it until it showed up again.
Me too.
Yeah. But the atmosphere...
But it was cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I liked the effect a lot.
But the atmosphere of this movie is incredible. Total, just, like, haunted house vibes. Cobwebs all over the place. Like, fog inside the house. And there's this old man sitting in a chair back to the camera, and he's talking to this casket that he's got in the middle of the room. And like within the first 2 minutes, I want to say we've already got our first creature, who's like this creepy looking dude who's on a tree who's got a hook for a hand.
Here's something interesting. Sorry to cut you off. Didn't mean to continue.
We just got to the movie.
No, but it's about what we're doing. Okay. So like when you're picturing what we're doing, what we're talking about, picture the vibe of Michael Jackson's Thriller music video, right? That came out 3 years before this.
I mean, you can definitely tell where there's some things that inspired this.
I'm surprised none of them did that dance.
Really, though.
All right, you may continue.
So we see the hook creature, and it was kind of weird. And then we find this little kid whose name is Billy, who's just out in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night. It's
yeah,
like,
he's
what
just
is
chilling.
he doing here? He's got like a backpack. He's eating like some little snowballs.
I'll show you, parents. That's like basically
Yeah,
what he
was
said.
like mad at his parents for some reason, right? And then it cuts over to there are 2 cars full of people. One's got like 4, the other one's got 3 of them. Is that right? Does the math check out there?
I genuinely don't remember how many people there were.
don't
It felt
remember
like there were
either.
10, but I definitely think it was like 7.
But yeah,
So I think you're right.
It did not establish very well that the people in these 2 cars knew each other. It was just like one was driving kind of crazy and the car behind them was following them. And they didn't really explain what they were doing, why they were doing it, how they know each other. It was kind of weird. But so then coming back to the kid in the middle of the woods, some random dude from the tree starts talking to him. Just some creep comes up to him and is like, hey kid, got a light?
Got a lighter?
And so the kid walks up to him with a lighter. I don't know why this kid
Out
has
of
a lighter.
nowhere.
And just helps him light his cigarette. And he keeps talking to him about how like It seems like he's gonna be a character that knows more than he does, but he was just some random dude in the forest with him.
Just some random guy.
And he just like basically was like, oh, I know that look on you. Yeah, I bet he's like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 13. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, yeah, I'm 13 today. He's like, oh yeah, I bet your parents forgot your 13th birthday. That's what happened. It feels like the only purpose of this character was for like to find a different way to tell us that this kid's parents forgot his birthday, and that's why he ran away into the woods.
So there were 9 people.
There were 9 people.
I don't know how,
I
but
don't
there
remember
were.
all of them.
Because there were like, I think there were 5 in the one car and then 4 in the other car.
I guess that must have been it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it was just
I watched
so weird.
this movie 20 minutes ago.
But yeah, this kid is so weird, and he was like, running away is not going to do anything. And the kid's like, oh yeah, but I've got big plans. Like, what is he doing? I don't understand. So the kid runs away from this kind of creepy dude in the tree, and like as soon as he runs away, there's a quick shot, and I didn't know what happened, but the creature with the hook for a hand got the creep in the tree.
Yeah.
So he's just like, it just shows him like falling out of the tree with these claw marks across his face, and he's just dead.
And it did it in such a way when he fell out of the tree,
yeah,
it genuinely to me looked like he was transforming.
Yeah, I thought for a second
that's what it seemed like.
He had transitioned. He was the creature now chasing the kid.
Kind of got excited.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool shapeshifter. No, the creature just got him.
Weird cat gross thing.
Yeah, and started chasing the kid into the forest. But the kid didn't notice this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
But so then we go back to the old man who's in the haunted house, right? And he's just like this leper of a man, just this actual corpse. He's got these like thick layers of gross age makeup over his face. Like he just looks nasty. He's gross.
I must bring this boy to my mansion.
Yeah, he's the one who's like kind of the Vincent Price type.
How do I talk like him? It's like listen, like see you hear this sound?
Just some cans. Oh yeah,
I'm trying to do the voice effect.
Because every time he talked specifically, it sounded like he was talking through like a plastic tube.
Yeah,
and he was the only one that had that sound effect. It was so weird.
I can't think of any way to get that effect.
But yeah,
just
so
imagine it.
He basically gives us a bit of exposition while talking to the girl inside the casket, who is his bride, and he basically says, for 70 years now, he has been sacrificing the youth to use their like life essence to keep his wife alive. So he's this old ass man, and she's like this beautiful bride sitting in there. She kind of looks like Winona Ryder is kind of how I expect, like how I would picture her, or like would describe her when we first meet her. Right? I feel
like Sigourney Weaver and Winona Ryder comes up a lot.
We love them.
Like lookalike.
They just keep coming up, you know. Maybe I don't know. They have a very specific look to them.
I guess so.
But Derek mentioned that this guy whose name we still don't know at this point, the old man, he delivers his lines like Tommy Wiseau.
Oh my God, yeah. He's like Vincent Price and Tommy Wiseau got together and then mashed their faces.
Yes.
And then talked through a plastic tube.
Mm-hmm. So as the kid's running away from the dude from the tree, still doesn't know he's being chased by a creature. He ends up at the creepy house who just has like graves in the front yard, and he has no problem with it.
No, he's just like chilling.
Yeah, he's like,
cool,
no problem.
Mansion in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, let me help myself. So he decides to like go up into the whole thing. Meanwhile, we cut back to the car of the people, and still I'm not finding out a lot about these people. No. They just keep saying things to each other. They're just filling time.
And then like the trees fall into the woods.
Yeah, there's one random moment where like they're driving up a road, and then like not even a very thick tree branch falls into the road, and it stops them, and I don't understand why. Also, one of the men in the back of the car, who seems to be the only comedic relief of this movie, has a puppet, like a little hand puppet that he uses. And it was at this point that Derek and I both were like, oh, I hope that something happens to that puppet, it becomes possessed and it tries to kill them. But you'll find out later if that happens or not. But yeah, he just has a puppet for no reason at all.
It was also so strange.
One of the men just has this shitty looking like pleather tracksuit, which how would you describe it, Derek?
2 black trash bags taped onto his body.
With like some zippers.
That's it.
And it just looks so out of place. It seemed like the kind of look where like his friends saw him looking at that. He's like, I should totally buy this. He's like, I'm totally pulling off this look. They're like, you don't. Like, Duke, you look terrible in this. He's like, no, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going to wear it anyway. Because everybody else in the movie looked like a normal character from the 80s. And then he had this like costume on. It didn't make sense.
No, it didn't. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't figure out why these people were seemingly together. Mm-hmm. All of these, because they're definitely going to the same place at the same time. And in that little docufilm we watched, the actors that were in the movie were like, why were these characters there?
They also feel the same way about why would any of these people be together? Yeah. Like, what's their connection?
And funny enough, in the Wikipedia, it says a group of teenagers and some older adults come across a mansion intending to have a party.
Yeah, it is very weird because there are definitely some that are like clearly like younger adults, maybe teens, but like then there's like 1 or 2 that are like older men. Like, it's kind of weird. Like could be their father kind of age.
And I guess it's to imply that they were okay, I don't know, man. It seemed like Billy, the little boy, had run away from home, and one of those cars was looking for him.
Yeah, which would have been a better idea, but that's not what ended up happening.
It maybe started that way.
Maybe. It seems like a lot of the writing got away from them, where there were like a lot of abandoned plot lines in this movie.
So many.
Yeah, but so now the kid goes into the house, right? And there's some hooded like cultist running through the graveyard, running like a little elf. It's like this little boy in like just like this brown cloak who's running into the house. But inside of the house, there is a birthday party set up for the kid. There's like it's like weird, really weird looking. There's like a bunch of droopy balloons. There's this creepy baby doll that's sitting on the table that I hated.
It was gross.
And the birthday card is addressed to Billy, who's the kid, right? Why doesn't he think this is weird? I don't understand why
he thinks that his parents are throwing him a surprise party.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, I get it, Mom and Dad, you forgot my 13th birthday, so instead you found this random mansion in the middle of the forest and decided to throw me a party there, even though neither of them are there.
What great parents.
Honestly, though. But yeah, so then it shows us another shot of this little cultist, and it's like this little kid who's got this gray skin and some fangs.
I'm still convinced it was the same actor.
It was, yeah, they did kind of look similar, Billy and this kid.
Yeah.
Super
Billy
weird.
the kid.
Not to be confused with Billy the Kid. So then the kid's like, oh, wow, yeah, I love my birthday. Thanks, guys. And so he goes to open the presents because there's a bunch of gift boxes on it. And he goes to open the present box, and what's inside?
It's a head.
It's a head, which I think is the head of the master of the house, the old man, I think is what it was supposed to be.
It had to have been, right?
It was very, like, the effect was very clearly there was a guy sitting under the table. They cut a hole into the table to stick his head through it.
It would have been less obvious if you just had someone's hand sticking out.
But yeah, he definitely did the Vincent Price-esque like laugh as the kid ran away. He booked it out. And I thought the little gray kid was going to get him, but no, the kid was able to successfully run away.
Yep.
So I don't understand what this trap was for, if the kid got out of there fine.
The whole thing seemed very pointless.
Mm-hmm. But as the kid runs away, the two cars arrive at the haunted house, and it's just, again, I mentioned this one man is significantly older than the rest of them. I don't know what his status is in this group, and none of them are feeling very distinct to me as a whole, right?
So weird.
It felt like character work for an acting class. Like, okay, we're going to put you guys all in a scenario. How would your character react to the events of a haunted house? And go.
All right, now split up. Mm-hmm. Yep, split up. And each room is going to have a different monster in it.
Yes, exactly. Right, now you're going to react to this, and then your character is going to respond to this one. And now go. Let me see. Let's play in the space here.
I like what you're doing, but you could be a little funnier. If you could just be a little bit funnier, that'd be great.
We're thinking you're going to be the funny one here, and the only funny one. And you have a picture of yourself on your shirt for some reason.
Director, I have a question.
Yes. Let's talk. Let's work in the space.
I feel like my character's British. Should I maybe make my character British?
This is fine. Yes, we don't need to have any reason that these characters are connected. This is all just character work.
What if my character was smoking a cigarette the entire movie?
One cigarette. I like the idea. Yeah. Like, let's come up with something there.
And I'll have no place to store other cigarettes, but I'll always have one in every single scene.
Yes. It didn't make sense to me. It was very funny to me. But yeah, so that's just a little insight to all these weird characters that, again, have no connection to each other whatsoever.
The characters themselves there really isn't much to talk about there.
No, there's not a lot to say about any of them.
You could tell that they were there to die.
Yes.
Right? That was the entire purpose. And like we were just riffing on, like, it definitely seems that they were like, okay, you guys make up your characters and just go have fun.
Yeah, honestly.
You kids have fun.
I don't know how much was written for them based on their characters, right?
Yeah.
It's like you come up with this stuff, right? I think there is actually a bit in that documentary we were talking about where one of the characters who plays David, which we'll mention later in the movie, he said they didn't have the parts like fleshed out yet, so I think it was like based around who auditioned for it, right?
Okay.
Because then he went to audition for it, and then afterwards they're like, okay, you got the role, right? So like they weren't looking for anything specific.
Which
so I think
checks out.
Our assumptions here might actually be correct.
Be spot on.
Yeah, I think that might actually be how they came up with the characters for this movie.
That's very interesting.
They just came to them. I mean, it was like what was that bit in like La La Land, right? Where like there's the character that she ends up going for that makes her famous,
and it's her.
Exactly. It's just like we're gonna base it around the actress, right?
I love that.
Yeah. So it kind of fit that way.
Way to bring my favorite movie into the podcast.
That was just for you. We brought both of our favorite movies into this podcast. We talked about The Shape of Water and La La Land.
Oh my gosh.
Which are our favorite movies, respectively.
Yeah, Isaac's favorite movie is La La Land. My favorite movie is The Shape of Water.
Well, no, I don't know about
the other way around.
So now, as the kid is running away, he finally sees the Hook Man, who is like some kind of cat creature at the same time. So he's got like this cat features on his face and like this cat looking skin and these fangs or these claws on one hand, but a hook in the other hand. But he's also wearing normal clothes with like this one, this gold vest, which never made sense to me. I don't understand his costume at all. Those are the costumes that stuck out to me specifically, was like the pleather garbage suit and the Catman suit for no reason.
So I have a theory.
Okay, what's your theory?
I have a theory. I think that it was a house cat.
Okay.
And it was her house cat, the guy, the girl that he's trying to like...
The bride's house cat?
Bride's house cat. And she like
sounds like it could be a horror movie. The Bride's House Cat.
The Bride of House Cat.
Meow.
Oh, hello, little house kitten.
Meow.
Oh, you sound so deep today.
Meow.
Oh, no, don't kill me. Anyway, my theory.
Yes.
What if she would like dress him up for Halloween and stuff? She's like, I'm gonna make you Fred Astaire, and she like put like a little jacket on him.
That's where the gold vest comes from.
And then all the shit went down. I guess she died or something. And then the guy's like, I'm gonna bring you back to life, but along with you, I'm turning your cat into my creature.
Yeah. So like it's funny to me because it feels like it could have gone one of two ways, right? It's like either the cat turned into like a man creature or a man turned into a cat creature. I still don't know where the hook comes into play.
Or the hook is part of the plot. It hooks you. I'm so sorry.
It tries. It really does.
It's a fly situation.
Oh.
Ooh, it's a fly situation.
You just really wanted an excuse to talk like this fly again.
Ooh, what do you mean? No, really though. Like, what if he was like in a teleporter or something?
Okay.
And got turned into a.
There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on that we haven't even gotten into, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the hook Catman starts chasing the kid, and it's a pretty lengthy scene of him them just running through the forest and the graveyard, right? And then I was actually really surprised. The kid comes across like a freshly dug up grave, and the Catman reaches him and just starts clawing at his face. Like,
this was brutal.
3 or 4 different times. I mean, the effects weren't that scary on the kid's face. He just had some gashes with blood on them.
But it was more brutal than I ever expect for a kid.
Especially for a kid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then he falls into the pit, and then the cat creature just starts burying him alive for a long time.
It
seemed like there were definitely some shots where there were less dirt on him than the last shot.
Well, and you could like see a bag or something over his face to keep the dirt from going in his mouth. Which, I mean, is good that they did that for the actor, but like, took me out of it. Now I know this kid's not dead.
But yeah, so he successfully buries his kid. Then he goes back to his master. So we find out that like he is the master of the house's like little Igor creature, basically. Right? There's some weird scenes where he calls him Kitty and he's kind of nuzzling up to him. Didn't really enjoy that bit.
He like
pets
right? him at one point.
Yeah,
too.
It's kind of gross. So meanwhile, kid's dead, and now on the inside of the house, the gang has made it in there, right? Our little Scooby-Doo gang.
Scooby gang.
They're all in there, and the vibes are generally off. You kind of get their like 3 couples in there, and then there's I don't even know why I'm trying to explain these groups. Like they were all in there.
There's really no real purpose to explaining these people.
But they're just kind of like they're breaking into this house, and then the pleather suit man is adamant about breaking into this one door. He's like, "What the hell's going on in here?" And within the span of 2 seconds, smashes a chair against the door. It's like, why you are breaking into this house? What right do you have to check all of this stuff out? There's a locked door for a reason, right?
Yeah, for real.
But behind that door, a corpse falls onto him from the closet, and it looks kind of cool. Like, it wasn't just like a skeleton, right? There was like decomposed skin stretched out over it. Like, it looks kind of neat. Do you agree?
Yeah, I really loved the skeleton design because it kind of looked like the Screaming Woman painting a little bit, but in like skeleton form on the ground.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Very cool.
So yeah, with the corpse falling out of the closet, there's also there's like a Ouija board, which doesn't look like a Ouija board like we would know it. No, it was like a weird little spider web design. I mean, it was cool.
It was cool. I'd buy one.
But yeah, suddenly one of the girls in the group, her name is Carol, was like, "That's a Ouija board. It's not a game. It's a tool that we use to communicate with the dead." She kind of like goes like 1,000-yard stare on them. It's just talking into the middle distance, it was kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
But only a second later, before he breaks into this door, he finds this weird looking box that has what kind of looks like a planchette for a Ouija board, so that's how they end up using it to talk to people. And I kind of
always forget that word exists.
Sometimes I do too. But I really liked the effects that they did, or the way they did this with talking to the Ouija board. So they do the thing where they put their hands on the board, and one at a time, one of them asks them questions. So it goes back and forth from a shot of them asking the question to a shot of the old man up in his attic, kind of, game master pulling all the strings, right? And so they'll ask him a question, and then he answers, and then the thing will move, right?
I did like that.
It came across kind of funny when he had to spell out a word, because I think someone asked, like, will we ever make it out of this house alive? Then it cuts back to him going, Never. Like,
that spells never.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of funny to me. But I thought it was a neat effect to show, like, okay, he is in control of this board, right? Implying he's in charge of he's controlling everything.
Yeah.
There are also a couple nods to the fact that in the room with him, along with the casket of his dead wife, he has a chessboard. And he keeps talking about how, like, he's in control. It's all a game of chess. And I don't know. It was never really explained.
It wasn't at all. I did like it, though. I loved the game metaphor that he had the entire time. Mm-hmm. And then he grabs the pawn from their side, seemingly. Grabs it in his hand and squeezes it real hard. And when he opens his hand up,
it changes to the like opposing color, right?
Yeah,
which is kind of neat.
bishop.
And as he's doing that, there's like this weird effect where he has this blood vessel vein in his forehead that is like pulsing. And they showed it a couple times.
I think that was one of the more expensive effects in the movie, because they put a lot of time into that.
But yeah, what happens is his forehead starts to pulse, and then Carol, the one who was talking about how, like, it's a Ouija board and she knew all about it for some reason, she just suddenly turns into a creature.
Yep.
She suddenly turns into, like, almost like Evil Dead status, like Deadite kind of stuff. Like, her eyes go white and her skin looks like kind of corpse-ish. But yeah, so clearly... the master of the house, whose name we find out is Creon, which I think at this point the only reason I knew that is because of the subtitles.
New York. I'm trying to think if it's anything backwards.
Creon. Yeah, I think that's nothing. I think it's just a strange name for a character.
Nork.
But yeah, so he's got powers. So all of them are trying to run, right? And there was actually a really cool effect that I forgot about until right now. One of them, whose name was Lewis, who I forgot existed until today, right at this moment. Yep. He runs out into the graveyard that's in the front yard of this house, right? He runs out, and then a tombstone pops up in front of him, like bursts out of the earth, which looked really cool. And it starts to emblazon itself, like in a fiery passion, with his name.
Yeah.
And as that's happening, he's being pulled downward into the earth and just being like eaten alive by it.
Very cool.
And it wasted no time. He like didn't get a chance to escape. He just got sucked up into the earth, and then the tombstone said his name on it. It was a really neat effect. I actually really liked it. But yeah, so he dies, then everybody else runs back into the house and like locks themselves in there. And then there were zombies outside. I think that's why they locked themselves, because some of the corpses started coming up from the ground outside.
Yeah.
And the zombies looked pretty cool. They looked nice.
Them.
There was one that had this like eye gouged out and sticking out on like its little vessels.
The one they showed the same shot of 3 times because
again,
it
it's
so
like
cool.
When you get like a cool looking effect that probably costs a lot of money, you really got to make it worth its money.
I just wish that they would, if they had the effect, use different shots of it.
Yeah.
Because they used the same shot of this guy.
It seemed like there were a lot of like recycled effects or like recycled shots specifically going on in this movie.
Then for some reason, which happens in every horror movie, they split up.
Yeah, they go Scooby-Doo on this, of course. Why not? And again, it's like, it's another horror movie where it doesn't seem like any of them can really take this very seriously, because it's like, you've seen just a smidget of the horrors that this house can give you, right? And it's like, okay, wouldn't you want to stick together and like really take this seriously as a threat to you? But no, they're like, okay, well, we're going to go this way. Okay, we're going to go this way. Have fun. We'll see you later.
And they split up into groups. Like, I mean, again, we didn't really go into any of their relationships or anything.
Yeah.
But like they split up into groups that didn't make sense.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
These characters were throwaway. Mm-hmm.
But then Creon's wife wakes up for some reason.
Yeah, she's awake.
And this didn't really make sense. It's like, okay, I thought we were using the life essence of these youth to get her back, right? But suddenly she wakes up, and I'm not really sure what happened to make that happen. But so she's alive now, and she's up and walking. And it was at this point that I'm like, why has Creon never used his powers to make himself look young and better?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because she's basically like grossed out by him. She's like, please, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, leave me alone. Like, she wants him to let her go. I don't understand.
Even to the point where there's like dialogue where she talks about how she tried to kill herself multiple times.
That comes
to
up
get
later
away from
on
him.
Where she poisoned herself to get with him. So it's like, okay, so she didn't even want him to begin with.
Yeah.
Yet he spent 70 plus years killing the youth to keep her alive. Never made sense. I don't know why he thought she would ever come around. But there's a lot of just like random scenes of them walking through the house and getting generally creeped out by things.
Yeah, this whole section seemed a lot like, I don't know if any of you have played the game Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Oh, yes.
But in that game, you're basically Clue style searching a house or a mansion. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, you open up a door, and in that door, something creepy will come out, something will be there, right? Something will happen.
Yes.
That is this movie to the T.
Absolutely.
And I personally like that.
I liked that too, but yeah, it was definitely like a haunted house randomizer.
Yes.
Like just like random things going on.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, as soon as they walked into a new room, it's like, what's going to be in this room? And why is it here? Doesn't make any sense. It's all just pieced together.
And we'll go over the fun ones as we talk here, but just so you know, that is the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah. So we'll just skip through a lot of like, they get scared by this random thing. So we'll stick to like kind of like the main ones. So the trash bag suit man, he kicks down a door and like an idiot falls down the stairs on the other side of them. Immediately falls down. And so now him and his girlfriend Linda are in the basement. And this movie has like sound effects that they would literally use in like a haunted house.
Oh, yeah.
Or in an episode of Scooby-Doo. Like they were the most cheesy horror sound effects you could find. Like the light bulb. You remember the light bulb? Yeah, like this stereo, like this typical just like electricity shock sound effect when he tries to screw in a light bulb.
The only thing we didn't get was when they try to run away. There's never the
oh yeah, like their feet, like,
and then the
struggling to run. Yeah.
So professional Foley artists.
This is probably the worst and the best part of the movie all at once. I was so mad, but I was laughing so hard.
I have genuinely never laughed this hard at a movie.
It has been. I don't think we've ever laughed this hard at one of the movies we've watched for this podcast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it is shocking
because
how hard we were laughing.
Linda. So we'll explain the scene first, and then we'll tell you why they fucked it up so bad
in every way.
So Linda's on the ground on just like this dirt floor, right? Mm-hmm. And then from the ground, these two arms come up around her, and then there's like this dirt monster, like this muck man, who comes up. There's actually two of them that accost them, right, and like start chasing them through the basement, and it's like kind of cool, right? They look really like I liked this. I
love their design.
I loved their makeup. They were really cool. They looked like they were just composed of mud and dirt that had been just like living in the ground probably this whole time, right?
Yeah.
But Derek, where did they fuck up so bad?
Oh my god. Okay, so these dirt monsters start attacking them. Mm-hmm. As soon as they appear, fart noises. Constantly.
The whole time. It just sounds like not even like a fart sound effect. It sounds like someone is like they had a microphone and they were just making fart noises into it.
It literally felt like a YouTube poop video where they took a clip and then overlaid fart noises over the top of it to make you laugh.
I was like, there is no way this is happening right now. I was so in disbelief. Like the shock factor of this was hilarious.
That's what we were laughing at. Because I mean, farts are farts, right? They make you laugh sometimes. Most of the time they're just too much.
Yes.
We were not laughing at the fact it was fart noises.
No.
I mean, we were not laughing at the fart noises. Mm-hmm. We were laughing at the fact it was fart noises.
And just the fact that I could not believe this was happening. Like, the monsters looked cool, but over that entire scene with them, they were farting. And, like, a lot,
It was a lot.
It was relentless with them farting.
It never stopped.
And I sit there, like, hands to my head, disbelief. Like, there's no way this is happening right now.
For the first half of it, I was open mouth, jaw on the floor.
I thought this was a joke. Like, no way in hell.
And this movie is supposed to be a comedy horror, right? It is labeled as such. So far, there's been nothing funny, really.
Besides, like, the puppet character, the guy with the hand puppet.
Was he really funny?
No, he was just trying to be a comedic relief,
okay,
you know?
I see what you mean. Yeah, but this...
I was
just this one scene
in tears with laughter, but
too.
Also furious because, again, the muck man was really cool.
Yeah.
And the scene ends in a really cool way because they're down in the basement, or like I assume it's some kind of wine cellar.
It's a wine cellar.
Because she grabs an axe and she takes it to a giant barrel of wine, and it all gushes out and pours out onto the ground, and then the muck men dissolve into it because they're just made of dirt, basically, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really neat effect. They just slowly dissolve into it. I thought it looked really cool, like the bubbling of them slowly deteriorating into the wine.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But they were farting. So that was something. Why?
Hated it.
I wish I could have a conversation with the people who made this movie.
So yeah, they end up surviving, like the two, Duke and Linda, I think were their names. They end up surviving that encounter. So it was great. Again, just really wish they had not gone the farting route.
Yeah, man.
This movie really poorly displays the layout of this house. And like maybe that was intentional, so it felt kind of like a maze, but I never knew where any of them were at any point in this house, right? It was kind of weird to me.
It was very much a maze for everyone involved.
Yeah, and there's just like, again, there's just a lot of back and forth shots between all of them being creeped out around the house. Like it's kind of hard to dictate, like to say where to go between all of this.
No, yeah.
But then another thing they notice, I can't remember who finds this, but they find a pretty nasty looking corpse hung up in like basement maybe somewhere, and they find a note on it that basically says, you know, like this was the only way to get free from like the creatures in this house, right? So pretty gnarly. The corpse looked really cool. Like her jaw was kind of like distended and looking
really cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. And then we're back to Adrienne is her name. She's the one that had the cigarette.
Yeah, of course, a cigarette.
And it's again, I cannot understand. Every single scene from the very beginning, she has had a cigarette. She has never relit it. It is always at like the same length.
She only, and I was paying attention to it. Well, we both were.
Yeah.
She only flicked ash off of it once.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, it was just sitting there.
It was so funny. I mean, she's got like Willy Wonka's everlasting cigarette.
You did say that. It was very funny.
Yeah, it's like, hello, it is me, Willy Wonka. You ready to try my cigarettes, kids?
Oh my gosh, I'm ready.
Here's a cigarette for you, kid, and a cigarette for you.
It happens forever.
Your parents are gonna kill me for this,
it won't go down.
It sells. That's right, kid. You'll never get rid of me. That's right. Choke. Die, kid! Haha! Fuel my candy-making machine! It is you that I will turn into the candy!
Dead boy, daddy dead boy. I've got another boy for the zoo.
You got boy for the zoo?
I lost it.
Imagine, I feel like you could very easily turn Willy Wonka into some kind of like horror-esque something, right?
Doesn't something like that exist?
Probably.
Isn't Nicolas Cage in one?
If not, we will make it and we'll cast Nicolas Cage.
Wonderland is about or whatever?
Oh, well, that's just him being in like it's like a Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing.
Oh.
Where he's just in like this Chuck E. Cheese-esque place.
Well, I've never seen it, so I wouldn't know.
But yeah, so she's got Willy's everlasting cigarette in her hand. And then her and her partner, I don't even know if they're like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, they just have an argument and they don't seem to get along very well. He takes one sip of alcohol, which apparently he doesn't do very often, and spits it out and then promptly just passes out.
He like got a big speech about it. It's like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to drink this alcohol.
Yeah.
And then he dies. Well, he doesn't die, he passes out.
So while he's passed out, the creature that the very first one that I ever saw when I found out about this movie, it's like this little like Yoda-esque face.
I don't even know.
It's a good looking like a prop, like a little puppet.
It's kind of what I wanted the Boogans to look like.
Yes, it's like half fish, but it's kind of cute. I kind of liked it. But then it's like it's already killed David, who was on the other side of the bed. It's like chewed up half of his face, and then it like jumps onto Adrienne, the everlasting cigarette girl, and then it's like wriggling around on her back, and she takes something and is like slowly stabbing it on her back. Yeah. And the cuts of this creature were kind of confusing to me because I'm like, is there more than one of these creatures?
They definitely cut it in such a way. They had one creature and they wanted it to seem like there were like 20 in this room.
It very clearly was like you built one of these things and wanted to make it seem like there were more, right?
So like gradually they showed like different shots of it dying in different ways, and you can tell though that like they just used the same creature and then like killed it in such a way that they could reuse it again.
It's only ever in one scene. But yeah, she squishes one under a bookcase and there's just like a puddle of blood left underneath it.
A lot of blood.
A lot of blood. It was kind
of a lot of blood.
I was like, I feel kind of sad for this like really cute creature.
You think that's cute?
It was adorable.
Put a picture of that on our social media.
Absolutely.
It is gross.
I thought it was cute. I liked it. But yeah, I mean, it's much like I thought the Boogans was also cute.
I'm staring at it right now and nothing about this is cute to me.
Mm-hmm. So Creon and Winona Ryder, whose name is actually Isabel, we find that out later, his bride, apparently they have a kid. And lo and behold, the child is actually that weird gray kid in the brown robes from the beginning, whose name is Corda, is what they call him. Korda, Corda. Yeah.
Anything backwards?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Adrock. That's still nothing.
Adrock. Come here, boy. Adrock.
So Isabel, the bride, can't believe it. So she's trying to run away. And then it cuts back to Adrienne, who's still trying to run away. She killed that creature. She's down. This is actually a really neat effect. There's a shot of a really long hallway that is completely in the dark. And then David, her boyfriend, shows up at the very end of it in like this spotlight, which I thought looked really cool. I thought it looked neat.
This was awesome.
Yeah. And so it gets even better, though, because he's like, don't worry, babe. Just come to me. It's going to be okay. And then he slowly walks towards her in the darkness. And somewhere in that middle ground in the dark, he just transforms into this fucked up looking monster with these tentacles and like these red electricity powers.
This was one of my biggest issues with the movie. This monster was dope as fuck.
It was so
and they
cool.
never used it again.
Used in that one scene, and we
What
never
happened
saw
to
it
this
again.
monster?
Like utilized that thing, man. It looks so cool, and like so much money had to go into this creature.
And it had like this open stomach cavity.
Yeah,
that had like
see,
a beating heart.
You could
in
see
it.
the exposed heart, and it was beating on the inside of it. Like I thought it looked really, really cool. But yeah, what was even cooler, well, maybe not cooler, but also cool in this scene, he like wraps a tentacle around her, and the red electricity powers get to her, and then we get this really cool stop motion effect of her face deteriorating.
Yeah,
it looked so neat. It was so gross,
very gross.
But it just started to like rot away in all this red mush. It was so neat.
Very inconsistent from the rest of the movie, but it was like it was at the peak.
I liked it a lot.
It was very cool.
And I was sad we didn't have more of that kind of effect because it looked super cool. But yeah, unfortunately, the only time we see that creature. Like, I was really sad about that.
Yeah, me too.
So then Isabel is down at like some, I don't understand how she got here, but she's in like some creepy catacombs under the house. And there's some wicked looking witch demon thing down there.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't a person to make it. It was like this animatronic that kind of got a little Muppet-esque the way it moved around.
This actually, like, I would say is one of the things that's creeped me out the most in all of our movies, which is weird that this thing creeped me out.
It was a very short scene.
The way it moved and the way it laughed.
It
made me really uncomfortable.
It looked creepy. So like 10 out of 10 for the creep factor on this creature. Because it was messed up.
I don't even know how else to describe it.
I don't know. It just had really cool ghostly effects. Like it was an A+ for me. Though it did look akin to something you could buy at like Spirit Halloween.
Oh, 100%.
Albeit like at a higher quality than that. But yeah, like it moved around like when you go to Spirit Halloween, they have those like step on this pressure pad and it'll jump out at you. It felt like one of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so really love that kind of stuff. And so after that, we find out that Carol, the one who kind of got turned into like a deadite, she's at the helm of the Ouija board now, and like she's basically calling all the shots. Creon doesn't even have to do anything anymore. Like she's basically doing it all for him.
But it's all his voice going through her. I was always under the impression he was just using her.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it worked, right? But then Puppet Man is just he's away from all the rest of the groups. He finds the Spider Woman. Who I loved it. She starts talking to him through this dark doorway, and there's just lighting up her eyes as she talks to him. I thought it was a really cool effect. Yeah, kind of awesome. Kind of hot. And she was just like very mysterious and alluring, and telling him like, "I'm trapped here too. Come this way." And she knew his name, and she like lured him directly into her trap. And the hallway he was in, there were so many cobwebs, spider webs all over the place, right? So I'm like, he's definitely falling into like her spider's trap. And I was like, yeah, fucked up spider set. That's all I said when he walked into the room with her, because there was like this weird like spider box in the middle of the room.
Yeah,
it was kind of weird. But then meanwhile, while that's happening, two of the dudes, Duke the trash bag man, and then I never learned his name, just the old man of the group, start fighting with each other.
For no reason.
Like, there's no need for them to be doing this. Aren't monsters enough? Like, they just randomly start fighting each other because they've just been annoyed with each other the whole movie. Yeah. Then, while they are fighting each other, again, Carol at the helm of the Ouija board turns a statue of the Grim Reaper in one of the rooms they're fighting in. She turns it to life.
Yeah.
And so the Grim Reaper starts, like, pursuing them. And then really quickly, Duke, the trash bag man, just gets one swipe at him. He's gone for the rest of the movie. He's just dead.
This was the coolest creature in the movie, other than the one with the rib cage thing.
Oh, I don't know. I think the coolest creature has yet to be discovered yet, Derek.
Oh. What one?
The one you hate.
Oh, no. This was the coolest creature in the movie. Because it was just like a cool Grim Reaper guy.
Yeah.
But my issue with him is underneath his like rib cage and everything was just a couple crew neck t-shirts.
Yeah, it really seems like the bulk of the costume is just like skeletal gloves, a hood, the rib cage, and then the rest of it were just like clothes underneath it. Yeah. And of course like a skull mask and stuff. But I mean, he was fucking it up with that scythe. Like he was doing some damage, but he moves really slow.
Yeah, he does.
And he took as there were three of them. There were two girls and the old man man, they were able to get out of the room, but as they're leaving, he gets like a really nasty gash in one of their legs.
Yeah.
And like so much blood gushes out of it too.
So much.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of blood, surprisingly, in this movie, beyond like the few scratches on people's faces, but like that was probably one of the biggest uses of blood in the movie.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense.
So back to the comedic relief character with his puppet, right? Who I don't think he ever uses again in this movie. He's in their room with the spider person, right? And so as the girl is talking to him, she's like, I'm dead. Everyone in this house is dead, and you will be too. A big-ass spider crawls up over his shoulder.
Which, at first, I was icked out about.
Yeah, Derek definitely
was, like,
covered
very
his eyes.
Obviously,
Looks very obviously fake. One of those, like, okay, now hold this puppet to your face and make it look real, you know, right? So then, as he's wriggling away from the spider creature, he gets caught in like a person-sized web, right?
Yeah.
And as he gets caught in the web, the girl starts to transform, and she looks gross. She is nasty. Her head, her like brain space starts to get bigger and grow, and she's got all these nasty wrinkles all over her face. She's got these big like dome eyes, and like it looks really, really gross.
It was awesome.
She's slowly turning more and more into a spider. So then like her head gets even bigger, kind of like the what do you call that? The big fat body part of a spider. What is that?
How would I know?
I don't know. I thought maybe you knew a little bit about the anatomy. Science, Jim. I don't want to talk to smart Jim. You get in here. But so her head starts to turn really big and bulbous, and then from like the sides of her face, these giant legs come up until she is basically like she's just a giant spider, really fleshy, gross, nasty. Loved all of it, and then her face turns into this nasty little bit of a spider. Yeah. What's up, Science Jim? Is that you?
Yes, it's me.
I missed
my
you.
My brother, Smart Jim, actually went home. I don't think you'll ever see him again. I hear you were looking for the like anatomy of a spider.
Yeah. What's that big bulbous part called? I think it's like the abdomen, right?
It's literally just called the abdomen.
All right.
And then
the
other part is the cephalothorax.
Is it
We've
one more
also
time?
got the cephalothorax.
Does he speak for the trees?
He's cephalo.
I guess in this case, he would speak for the bees, am I right? But
Why would he speak for the bees?
It doesn't. It does. Never mind. It's going right. I know humor's not your thing, Science Jim.
Well, I mean, it is. Also, you've got palps. You've got cheliceras, and then
I'm really loving you telling me about the spider anatomy now.
And then on the back, those two little pincers. They're called the spinnerets.
Oh, that's cute. I kind of like that one, actually.
Spinnerets. It's good to be back, by the way. I was a fly last week, so it's nice to be back.
It's nice to see you. Feeling okay? You feeling any more fly tendencies? Yeah.
I'm doing all right.
Okay,
Thank
yeah.
you. Goodbye.
I mean, you're a scientist. You can probably fix... Okay, he's gone.
Well, okay.
So she's turning more and more into a spider, right? So yeah, her head kind of turns into the abdomen of the creature, and then her face gets all nasty and contorted, like it's a bunch of eyeballs. It looks so gross. But then this is probably my favorite kill in the movie. Like the effects on this, 11 out of 10. I loved it so much. Her mouth, her nasty fanged up mouth shoots out of her face, kind of like like the second mouth in Alien, right? That's kind of the only thing I could compare it to. And then attaches onto him, who is instantly a dummy, like clearly not the same man, and just like sucks him up like a Capri Sun, right? Like when you suck it all out of the air out of it.
Yeah, Spider-Woman gave him the good suck.
Yeah, I mean, like the dummy body did look kind of funny, but I really loved the effect. So yeah, just completely sucked him dry of everything, life essence, blood. Any comedy he had left in his body.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a great kill, and then just quickly it was over. Yeah. So then we're back to your favorite. We're back to the Grim Reaper, right?
Oh my god.
He's kind of like a Michael Myers type. Like he doesn't need to run at them. He just slowly walks with his scythe as he's pursuing them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't think it was like the coolest Grim Reaper, but like I appreciated him.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah. So they run out onto the roof. Mm-hmm. of the building, and so like they come out through one window and try to go through another one, and it's locked and they can't get there. So then the Grim Reaper follows them, and they have literally nowhere to run. But then the Grim Reaper and the old man go toe to toe with each other.
They start going at it,
and all they do is like fight over the scythe. Like the Grim Reaper doesn't even swing at them; they just start grasping over the scythe, and then gas starts to come out of the scythe for some reason.
Yeah, It definitely seemed like they were holding on to something that was emitting gas.
Yeah.
But why was it doing it in the first place?
No idea. And then somehow he's able to subdue the Grim Reaper, right? Throws him off the side of the roof. And what happens, Derek? This was so wild to me.
Explodes.
In a crazy passion.
A big, fiery,
gigantic explosion.
And it made no sense.
Absolutely
We went back and watched it again because we were shocked.
Yeah.
So shocked. I'm still shocked.
Yeah.
Almost fart level shock.
We had to go back because I was like, did that really just happen? What the hell is going on?
It made no sense.
Yeah, so somehow through the power of friendship, he like threw him off the side.
Power of friendship.
He threw him off the side of the roof, and then he just explodes in this crazy passion.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
But then after that, none of them really know what to do or where to go from here. There's a weird
Neither
scene
did the writers.
where they, I think that's very much true. So they get back into the house, and they're in the room with like a lot of like expositional stuff that tells them about like the owner of the house, and like they find these weird papers with a bunch of like weird glyphs in them and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a sarcophagus in the room for no reason.
Seemed like they were trying to have some lore, but it didn't really work.
There's a weird small statue in the room, and then the girl who got her leg cut, I think it was Linda, finds this weird flask with some liquid in it, and for some reason she starts like limping towards it, accidentally knocks it off the shelf, it falls on the ground, and then there was another cool stop motion deterioration bit where that statue that I mentioned just deteriorates like acid. Like
it was very cool.
It was kind of neat, but again, I'm like, that was
it was definitely made out of wax.
Yeah.
And they melted it.
Seemed like it. And then like sped it up. Yeah, something like that.
Sped it up, yeah.
But yeah, so it's weird. This is definitely like Chekhov's bottle of acid because it does come into play a little bit later. But they're prepping to fight back now, I guess. They grab a couple of axes off of the wall. They're like, we're going to start fighting back now for some reason.
Against what?
Yeah, no idea.
I don't know. This whole thing was so weird. They were like acting like they had plans.
I think it's just because they were able to best the Grim Reaper, and they're like, okay, now we can do this thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we can throw anything off this roof and it will explode.
The music is still doing it for me, still loving it, but sometimes it's a little loud, like the sound mixing
there was
here.
not a lot of good
it was
mixing.
like it was kind of peaking sometimes too, right? Like it was really weird.
It was so strange.
Yeah. So then they find Carol in this like seance room. She's got this like red background behind her with this like weird symbol on it. There's a bunch of candles all around her, and she's got like lightning powers. She like completely obliterates his axe that's in his hand.
No, she
just hits it with lightning.
Yeah, it seemed like she obliterated it, but it just kind of zaps it, catches on fire, and then he's like, "Oh, ow!"
He's like, "Well, I guess I can't use this now."
It was a metal axe,
and then she kind of just starts monologuing at them, and nobody's trying to kill her. Like, you guys just got the killing spirit, and now you're like, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna let her just talk and talk and talk," right?
I don't remember what she was talking about.
I don't either.
I wrote notes about this, but it wasn't like she was just talking.
No, but the most interesting thing that happens is her eyes start to glow, and then her head splits from the top of it, and coming out of it is like where a brain would be, just like this bright, shining brain matter comes out. It's just like this big glowing light. And then there's this weird, like, strange blue effect crackling all over the screen.
Yeah.
And so everybody in the room, they all start to, like, deteriorate. Like, their life essence is being drained out of them. You can see them physically, makeup-wise, getting, like, older.
Wrinkly and gross.
Yeah, exactly. And so then the corpse from the very beginning, they're in the same room where that happened. He happened to have a bottle of the same acid stuff in his hand. So the old man, as he's dying, starts coming towards it and trying to get the bottle from him. Then the corpse comes to life.
Yep.
And they have a very short battle where he basically punches it a few times and it's good.
Yeah.
Then he takes the bottle of acid and throws it at Carol with her big glowing head.
Yeah.
And then I think she blocks it with the Ouija board.
Yeah, she does. And the Ouija board like kind of explodes.
And there's like a bunch of like sparklers on the 4th of July just start spinning all around the room. And then I guess everyone's dead.
And then everybody's dead.
I guess
everybody's gone.
Because we never see any of those characters again.
Nope.
Yeah.
And then it jumps back up to Mr. Creon.
Yeah.
And is it at this point his wife is back yet?
I think so, yeah. I mentioned that Isabel basically has like a soundtrack to herself, and it sounds like all of the dramatic music that they use in Twin Peaks.
Absolutely.
And she's doing some like there's some dialogue over her like a I don't know, like a voiceover, even though she's on camera talking about, I know what I need to do now. It's so clear to me. It was so weird, but I think she intends to kill Creon, right? So she goes up to him. She's like, I'm ready to love you. I never knew how to love, right? So he's like getting really close to her. Then she just stabs him straight in the forehead, right?
Yeah, straight in there. And then he grabs onto the blade and the screwdriver handle, and he's like trying to pull it out, and instead breaks it off into his head, which I did like.
So yeah, he does die. He falls over like her casket and is bleeding out and stuff. And I think the house is angry about that. There's like a bunch of lightning striking things.
Yeah, the house got mad.
And then lightning strikes that slab of concrete that was locked over from the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
That again has not been there since the beginning.
Nope, but it's back.
So yeah, it literally deliberately zaps the lock that's on it. It's like, okay, so maybe there's something in there that's gonna come out. But so she kills the dude, right? The sorcerer, which we've never even like really mentioned the fact that he's a sorcerer.
Well, the movie doesn't.
Yeah, no.
We only know that because of the synopsis.
He mentions it once when he's talking to his son, talking about like that's the sorcerer's power, right?
Oh,
blah, blah, I don't know.
right.
There's a weird scene we skipped over where he's talking to his son, Corda, about their powers as sorcerers. Super weird. But so she kills him, and then instead of going out the front door, she decides to climb down the side of the building for some reason.
Like she's breaking out of her boyfriend's house in the middle of the night. Yeah,
exactly. Like if he's the one in charge of all this stuff and you killed him, it should be safe to just go out the front door at this point, right? But instead she climbs down the vines on the sides of it, right? And there's like, you mentioned, it's like the same shot of her struggling in the brush
multiple times. It showed her shoe slipping like 8 times. I expected her to fall, but then she just gets down fine.
Yeah.
So we spent 5 minutes just watching her climb out of this window for no reason.
But then at the very bottom of the vine that she climbs down, she makes it down okay. There's this really gross looking corpse. I don't know how else to describe it. It's got like bloody mouth. He just looked gross to me.
It was really gross.
It looks like it was more animatronic than it was an actual person in makeup. Yeah. It was just kind of off-putting to me, but he calls her Mama.
Mama.
Yeah, it was weird.
Mama.
And then we get a very long sequence of all of the corpses in the graveyard in the front yard coming back to life. It's just a zombie horde with some bopping music behind it, right?
The music here was incredible.
It was such like, I was like, I'm sorry. I know this scene's going on for maybe too long, but this music is like fun.
Yeah,
I liked it
I had
a lot.
a great time. I could just sit there and listen to that track.
And it was actually, Derek's wife, Emily, watched it with us. And she mentioned it's a little bit poetic that all of these people who were killed to give her life are now coming back from the dead to kill her, right? It was kind of neat. I actually really liked that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a very long sequence of her struggling to escape. There's quite a few zombies just clawing at her. And of course, in the process, they take some of her clothes off.
Which is like the only sexual moment in the entire movie.
Yeah, not a lot of that at all. And like even underneath her dress, she was not like that scantily dressed.
No, yeah.
Which seems kind of odd for a movie in the 80s of this vibe, right?
Especially because this thing that she's wearing is on the poster for the movie.
Yes. And I noticed in the poster, it looks a little more risque than it actually did in the movie.
Yeah, because it's like a painting of it.
Exactly.
Right?
They kind of like sexed it up in the poster rather than the actual movie, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's quite an action-packed scene of her just like running away. There are like 50 of these zombies, and like how have they not gotten her yet? She keeps being like completely tackled by them, but then somehow escaping. But like it was fun. It was a very intense scene. It was just like, how does she keep getting away from this many zombies? Yeah. And there were several times where they did subdue her, but like didn't kill her. So I don't know what they were doing, right? So like,
I don't know.
It kind of went nowhere, I guess. But then she finds a car and she's trying to get into it, and then some dude shows up and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing in my car?" She's like, "You need to help me. I need to go." Then he sees the zombies around her. He's like, "Oh yeah, sure." So then turns on the car. They drive away, and they got away for now. Because then what happens, Derek?
She looks over, and who is the guy actually in the car? It's Catboy.
It's the Catboy, who like we kind of left in the earlier of the episode, just because like all he does for the rest of the thing is like creep around the corner.
Yeah, and he does this weird thing the whole movie. Anytime anyone goes into one of those rooms, he like strokes the doorknob
like with his hook.
Like he just. Maybe that's how he locks the doors. But yeah, that's his entire use, the entire movie.
Exactly. So yeah, so then it's the Catman in the end. So it wasn't some dude that saved her. And then he talks again, I think speaking for Creon, is like, "Don't you know you can never be rid of me? You're mine forever."
Yep.
And then the crypt from the very beginning of the movie opens up, and guess who's inside of it? Creon.
It's Nerock.
He's been there the whole time, I guess. I don't know how he got in there. And so he just has this evil, maniacal laugh, and then the movie ends.
And it does that really stupid 80s thing where it's like a freeze frame of him halfway through a laugh. And the movie cuts to the credits.
But yeah, so I guess she never ended up making it out. Everybody died, so I guess they all lose by the end of it.
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like when the bad guys win.
I love the whole either like cliffhanger kind of ending like that, or it's just, the bad guys win, right? So yeah, in this sense, the bad guy definitely won.
Bad guy won.
He was resurrected in that tomb that he was in the whole time. I don't really know. I felt like I had so many more questions after the ending of this movie.
There was no reason for him to be there.
No, it was very strange. I was really hoping some like cool big monster would come out of that.
No, and I don't think anyone knows.
No.
I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah, so anyway, that was Spookies from 1986.
That's it.
In not so much of a nutshell.
In that movie, all the jump scares came from one jump. When he jumped out, when they threw him off the roof, and he exploded.
That was a jump scare for me, honestly. Well, that and the fart. God, I hated that so much.
Oh my God, that scene. There were 16 kills in this movie.
Wow,
16.
That's a lot.
Some of those are. Now I got this from the kill count video, which you should go watch.
Yeah.
some of those are including like the muck monsters and the hanging ladies.
Yeah.
So if you cut those out, there were 12 humans that died in this movie.
Makes sense. And basically all of them died, right?
Yeah. Because then, of course, you've also got the Grim Reaper who also exploded.
Yep, that's true.
But yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about how expectation results?
Yeah, what do you got?
So I wrote, read that there was a Spider-Woman. I'm on board. I mean, yeah, that did it for me. That was probably definitely my favorite scene in the movie. Her practical effects, the way she killed the guy, loved all of that,
It was
right?
very, very cool.
And to that end, incredible practical effects. Hell yes, hell yes. There were some fun practical effects in this. And also in that sequence where there were so many zombies, all of the zombies had a bunch of makeup on them too.
Cool.
There was one zombie that we didn't mention that was like all blue, and I really liked that effect.
That was very cool.
So yeah, I thought it was going to be, 100% my tempo. I'd say yes. I had a fun time through and through, 100%. And then I thought there was going to be more creature focus and actual plot and storytelling. While I thought the plot and storytelling was not incredible, there actually was a bit more plot than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Like, I really expected them to rely on just like, oh, it'll be fine. We got cool creatures. That's enough to make the movie. Like, it made enough sense. It wasn't fantastic by any means, but like the story made sense to me, right?
Was fine.
As far as surprises go, again, to that end, it was like, it had more story than I was expecting. It just, it wasn't just a smorgasbord of practical effects. But it was just like a lot of random things happening, like a haunted house randomizer, like I mentioned, right? Or like Betrayal at the House on the Hill, right?
Yeah.
The music kicked ass. I was not expecting the music to really pull me in as much as it did, but it was really good.
It was really good.
The music in the zombie chase scene by the end, fantastic. Loved that bit.
So good.
Another thing that really surprised me, no nudity. That surprised me because like most every 80s horror film with this vibe had to include some random nude scene, but this one didn't, and it had the opportunity to right then and there.
And it really wasn't even sexual at all.
No, I was surprised.
Like it even
how
had that
non-sexed up
like,
it was.
It had that buxom woman.
Yeah,
but that's it. She didn't do anything.
And there was like one scene where like her and the boyfriend were like almost rolling around on the ground. She was like, "Not now,"
And then he put on the sheet and he's like, "Just call me Duke the Horny Ghost."
Duke the Horny Ghost. Yeah,
Stupid.
So weird. And then my final surprise was just that the puppet never came back and never killed anyone. Yeah. It's pretty sad about that.
Very, very sad.
So it just ended up being a weird character trait that this guy had a puppet for no reason.
That he fed potato chips to.
Yeah, strange. So what about you? What were your expectation results?
Monster's super cool. Yeah. I mean, we just touched on that. I loved him. I loved him so much. The deaths will be some sort of screaming, falling down, monster falls on top. So shockingly, no.
Yeah, not all of them. Some were.
This kind of ties into my surprises, though. Is like the deaths were like somewhat unique.
Yes,
in how they
like
happen.
the deteriorating face, the big suck.
Super corny dialogue a la in 80s. Yeah, but I would say that the line delivery was worse than the actual lines themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
None of the lines really bothered me.
No.
I just felt like specifically like the old man, not the old man, the oldest of the people getting killed.
The one that stuck out.
I feel like he was so bored out of his mind.
The entire time. This is just like an inconvenience for him.
Well, I guess I'll just go down this hallway and maybe something will happen to me.
Yeah, honestly.
Spider-Person makes me mad. Not as much as I thought.
Loved it.
The beginning of the scene where I was like, okay, a bunch of spider webs. There's like bugs around. That's gross. That makes my skin crawl.
Definitely.
But after that, I was just like, no, this is just some cool Spidey lady. And I really liked the design.
Yeah, totally.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Plot, what's that easy? What's that even? It was just a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a plot, but I feel like the plot was just a means to an end. There was more plot than I expected, but what do you do?
It was quite messy.
For my surprises, I loved the idea. I loved having a bunch of rooms that were just mysteries and all the fun creatures. You never knew what was going to come next.
Yeah, it definitely kept you on your toes. It was fun to watch for that, right?
I really, really enjoyed the way that the cinematography was used in some moments. So like we didn't really touch on it, but at the birthday party at the beginning of the movie, well, the quote unquote birthday party.
Yeah.
He walks in and he sits down and there's a little toy that appears in the doorway.
Yeah, and that's right. I forgot about that.
And it's backlit. And it's like starts walking towards him on its own. And
that's some cool shots in it.
That.
Yeah.
It was really cool. They reused the same shot
twice. Literally directly twice.
It sucked. But the shot itself was very, very cool. I really liked that. And there were more throughout it. And then I was surprised at how much I enjoyed all of the different monsters. I was honestly surprised at how many different monsters there were.
Yes, a lot of variety there. Unfortunately, there were so many that there were some so cool. It's like, wait, I want to keep playing with this guy,
Right. Like Mr. Tentacle Man.
Yeah,
like,
David
I want
that turned
more
into
of
the
him.
creature. Yeah, it was really, really neat.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your score?
So before we talk about our verdict, we actually skipped over this, and I think this might be also a good time to mention the Rotten Tomatoes reviews.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we usually read those, right?
We usually do that.
So yeah, so this one from Daniel Barnes says, a go-for-broke 1980s horror buffet that offers some surprisingly good monster effects and some unsurprisingly abysmal acting and writing. Like... I'd say that probably like reigns true for like where I ended up with it. A negative, so that was a positive one. A negative one here says, not particularly creepy, but it's kooky. Mysterious, not spooky. Certainly altogether ooky. It's the Spookies movie. Yeah.
Katie Duggan of Take One.
Sorry, that last one was by Dallas King. I didn't mention that.
Katie Duggan of Take One says, it delivers on exactly what its title promises. It overflows with spooky spirits and creepy creatures, filling a decrepit, haunted mansion to the brim. What more could you ask for?
Truly, truly.
And then my favorite one is Xena Dixon, who just says, watch at your own risk.
So that's how they felt. Me personally, I give this the rank of Horrorble 100%. Like, this is exactly the kind of shitty 80s horror movie that I love. Like, wild effects, wild plot, fun music, fun times. It was bad, but in a very fun way. And like, it's very fun to watch. Not once in this entire movie was I thinking to myself, when is this movie going to end?
No, yeah.
Like, yeah, I never wanted it to. Like, while yes, the plot made absolutely no sense a lot of the time, it was just, it was fun. I liked it. I had a very, very fun time. So what about you?
I'm right there with you. Horrible through and through.
Yep.
This is why we started the podcast, right? This is the type of movie I want to see more of.
Absolutely.
I want to see these movies that I would recommend. Listener, if you're at all interested, go watch it. Even though you know what happens throughout the movie, you're still going to have a good time.
Yes.
Like, it is a good time. It was stupid.
Would recommend.
The effects were fun. The plot was nonsense, but that fed into it.
Because there are those kinds of movies where you go into it knowing it's going to be bad, but it is fun. It like passes that threshold where it's so bad it's fun. And that's exactly what I want here. Because like, you know, some of the movies we watch for this podcast are painful to watch because they're bad.
And
this
those movies
the exact
we tell
opposite.
you, don't watch them.
This one is the exact opposite. This one has my recommendation. If you want a fun, kooky movie to watch and make fun of with your friends, absolutely check out Spookies.
Maybe what we should do is we should put like a little tag on the social media for the episodes that we're like, recommends.
Oh, yeah.
And then other ones we just leave blank.
Would recommend, would not recommend.
Maybe. We'll see.
So hold on. I opened this door in the house and there's just a vampire in here. Should we talk to him?
Hey, what's up?
Bad late is me.
I ate garlic this morning.
They call stay away from me. Yeah. They call me Count Trivia, and I live in this house.
I ate garlic this morning.
Oh, well, I will get away from you. Here is your trivia. I've taken some time to get as much as I could. There actually wasn't a lot to get for this movie, but I did my best.
All right.
Well, thanks, Count Trivia.
Thank you.
So, like you mentioned at the very beginning, the original title for this movie was Twisted Souls, but it ended up being called Spookies. Like you mentioned, for like legal reasons, right? There was something that came up around that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Executive producer Michael Lee came up with the idea for the Muckman to make farting noises. The directors and the rest of the production crew hated it.
Good.
Everyone hated it except this man. Yeah. And then there was another one I had about executive producer Michael Lee was hated by the original directors and production crew so much they constantly insult him in interviews and appearances, even to this day, saying things like, I hope he's burning in hell.
Whoa!
Which is pretty rough, but I mean, I guess they were pretty pissed about the whole, like, you know, farting muckmen kind of shit, right? Reportedly, it was planned for Maria Pachucas, who played Isabel, the bride, to be stripped totally nude or topless by the creatures in the last scene as she ran from them. Pachucas had no problem with the nudity, but Michael Lee, again the one everyone hated, wouldn't pay her the money she wanted to do it, so she kept her clothes on. And apparently she went on to appear nude in every film she made after this. So yeah, not only did she not have a problem with it, but yeah,
she was into it.
So yeah, again, it seems like Michael Lee was the one who really had the issues with the nudity and all that kind of stuff, right?
All right.
So the Peter Augustus J. House, located in Rye, New York, is a preserved and protected landmark now, but it certainly wasn't in the mid-'80s, which is where they filmed this, right?
Yeah.
When the Spookies was filmed. Back then, it was just a rundown mansion with moldy walls and busted electricity. Terrible for most purposes, but it was perfect for a low-budget horror movie, right?
Oh, 100%.
And this place wasn't just in the movie, it was the movie. Everything you see in the Spookies was shot in that house, or in front of the house, or in the back of the house. So
that's true.
Yeah, many of the cast and crew actually slept there during filming of the movie. So yeah. There weren't any like other sets built for it. They did everything in that house or around it.
I don't know if I would sleep there though.
No, I wouldn't either. Like, why? It's a decrepit old mansion. Why would you want to sleep there?
But what if I see ghosts?
Oh no! So that's the trivia we had for this movie. So
Awesome.
Derek,
What a
it
fun
was
time.
your turn to pick.
Yeah, so I had kind of alluded to something a few episodes ago.
We're gonna fight.
We thought it'd be fun if we found a movie that we'd both seen
Yes.
already,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that he liked a lot, one of us liked a lot, and the other one didn't really think was that great.
Very much so. And I was shocked to find out
Yes.
the Rotten Tomato score for this movie is like pitifully low.
Yes, so Isaac and Emily are both huge fans of Van Helsing from 2004.
Van
now,
Helsing represent.
it may be a little argued that this isn't a horror movie. I think it is.
You
I
keep
think it,
saying that. I think it definitely classifies.
I think it falls into fantasy horror for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
The internet kind of disagrees, but who cares?
They can be wrong.
We're doing our podcast. We're doing our thing. This movie has
I mean, it has so many monsters in it. How can it not be a horror?
Right, exactly. And it's Van Helsing. I mean, that's just he's
Exactly.
a horror person.
Yes.
It has a 24%.
I
on Rotten
sincerely
Tomatoes.
cannot believe that. Even if it is not the best movie, I like this movie a lot.
More shockingly, though, 24% with 224 reviews.
Like a lot of people have
So that
rained
means
in on this.
1/4 of the 224 reviews
Yep.
hated this.
It's
I liked this movie.
Wild. And I mean, the audience rating's at 57, which is kind of like, if it was not that great, then I expect it to be there. But I don't know. I really like this one. And Derek remembers it a bit differently, though.
Yeah, Emily has loved this movie for years.
Yes.
And we've watched it a couple times, and it never really done it for me. So maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe they'll change their mind. I doubt they'll change their mind because they're very passionate
So
about
for
how
our
much they love this
for
movie.
our next episode, we'll go a little bit like head to head and like kind of like make points to each other about why
Yeah.
this one's good and why it's bad.
So
and
maybe watch it yourself. It's a very famous movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Hugh
also
Jackman, right?
it's our biggest budget movie that we'll ever have watched.
Probably,
No, it
probably
absolutely,
ever.
absolutely is. And I think it will probably be our
For
biggest.
a while,
It was,
at least.
It was 160 million to make this movie. So
I mean, it checks out.
it checks out. So anyway, that's what you can look forward to next week.
Yes, please. And then also, we just got to plug our social media places,
Yes.
right? Follow us. We got
Yeah.
Twitter, we got Instagram, we
Yeah.
got Facebook.
If you listen this far, please rate us 5 stars on whatever you're listening on.
Or
That
rate us
helps a
whatever you
lot.
think is fair. 5 stars is a big ask.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Rate us.
It's a little presumptuous.
Unless you're going to rate us a 0, then don't rate us at all.
unless you rate us 5 stars, don't rate us at all.
That's not
no,
what I
just
meant.
kidding.
But yeah, like it really, really helps us out. Give us a thumbs up or whatever.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you for listening. If you've chosen to listen this far
I
and
love
continue
you
to listen,
so much.
we thank you very much. We're very appreciative of that always. It's just been a while since we mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
But
we
yeah,
should probably mention that all the time.
probably, right? We'll probably
Like and
start to
subscribe.
like, rate, and subscribe, our little horror thing. But yeah, so we'll see you next time in the movies.
Is that your new tagline?
I
for
don't know. I
Exiting the
just
Movie?
thought I'd try it.
We had Stay Spooky was one.
Stay spooky, yeah.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah, I think it's
Maybe
cute. I
we
don't-
just say goodbye.
goodbye for now.
Now. What a callback.